you're watching Bites for Business. I have here today with me Susan, and I'm going to give it to her to introduce herself.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name's Susan. I'm from Australia. So I live in the southern state of Australia where it's really cold because we're going into autumn and you guys are going into spring. And I'm a mindful arts therapist. So I run art therapy classes for preteens and particularly for women. And yeah, my website's mindfularts with an S therapy.com.au. And yeah, you and I are both really super excited about SEO, which is really interesting. Yeah, that's why I'm here today.
Yeah. So before we get into that, I just kind of want to let everyone get like a background of what got you into what made you decide to do what you do.
I think I've always been a writer, and I've always been a drawer, I suppose. I don't know if I'm actually an artist. I think it says that on my like to experiment with different kinds of art, and I have always used art as a kind of therapy through my life, even though I didn't quite realize what I was doing. And I was investigating mindfulness, and I was like, this is kind of cool because I've always been into meditation.
Yeah.
And I kind of, when I'm teaching preteens, I ask them, do they know what meditation means? And they go, oh yeah, it's like a Buddha guy sitting there going, yeah, that's kind of what it is. And I said, but mindfulness is like meditation on the go, so you can do it anywhere, anytime, right? So it's like, fast track meditation for people who are really busy, and they kind of like that. But when I discovered there was this thing called art therapy, I was like, oh wow, this is probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and I thought they go together so well. So I started investigating, and then I studied my course, and I set up my website, and yeah. So for me, it's art therapy is really simple insofar as anyone can do it. I'd pretty much say if you can hold a pen and you're breathing, you can you can do art therapy and mindfulness. But it's extraordinarily powerful. It's really interesting. So a lot of the therapy work and the healing that I've looked at, you often hear people express the need to find their voice, or even with their writing, it's their narrative voice. And we often find that they don't have the words to express. So, and what art therapy does is it kind of bypasses that need to verbalize or intellectualize, which you need to do to find the words. And it just helps release the trauma. And sometimes it can just be a scribbling on the back of an envelope, or it can just be a massive painting, something, anything. Yeah, it's really, really interesting. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Do you have like a favorite genre or a favorite kind of art or writing that you prefer to do?
I'm actually currently writing nonfiction. I used to be a fiction writer. And one of the reasons I sort of thought, well, I've set my website up, so I'm going back just over a year, but it was May of last year that I got quite serious about my website. And I thought, I'm writing all these blog posts. A lot of people don't fully understand what art therapy is, and they may not be able to afford it, or they may just want to have a little go at home, before they actually dip their feet right in the water and contact a therapist. So I created the art therapy activity books, and lately I've been working on some sort of more in-depth non-fiction books.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess tell me a little bit more about your website and what made you want to start designing and doing your own, developing your own website.
Oh, cool. So I think like you and we share a bit of a background with SEO and blog writing. Yeah. So I think it was about 7 or 8 years ago I started, might have been a bit longer. And I worked with some guys in California, and they taught me how to write blog posts. And I actually did it as a part-time job. And I wrote blog posts about things I didn't know about, but you just do the research. Dreadlocks was one. Another one was AI for cars, automated cars. Fashion. There was this fabulous Indian family who was setting up this website to rival Poshmark. So about reselling stuff. So yeah, that was that was my sort of beginning. But in those days you could knock out 300 to 400 words. You remember those? And you were giving people little snippets of information. Now you've got to kind of write a mini book. You've got to write the essays, don't you? So we're looking at 1,000 to 2,000 words. which I think is nice, because I think it really shows how people are becoming more and more invested in what they're reading online, and it's forcing bloggers to really provide really good content.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, I moved house. I moved to a new area. I moved like 300 odd miles across state. And I was just looking to develop my website, get it going, and see what happened from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can completely relate. Like, I know when I first started out, like I kind of started blogging myself, and I got picked up by a company and I was so excited, but like a lot of the articles that I was writing kind of weren't really things that I wanted to write about. Like, one of the articles I wrote about was like pest control and termites, and like how to, yeah, and how it was to promote this company's brand, and like how to deal with pest control and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh man, but it was fun. It was fun. And that really kind of like showed me a lot of techniques and how to deploy SEO properly, which I'm really grateful for. So
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting, isn't it? Like, it's great for dinner parties. Like,
yeah,
you can, if you ever hear someone say, "Oh, I've got termites," "Oh, let me tell you about termites."
right.
Then you can move over here and say, "Well, do you need your hairstyle? Because I can help you."
Yeah.
You can move the group of people who talk about anything.
Yeah.
Such is their experience. But yeah, you learn to craft your writing, don't you?
Yeah.
You learn to be able to write quickly, on the go, and quite succinctly.
Right. And like, you learn how to like feel out your brand, not your brand, but your target audience's voice. And like, you learn how to hone in on that and like speak to the audience that you want to write to, which I found really interesting. And that was my favorite part, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So, I don't know, like with your website, what would you say was like the hardest part about like designing it and like figuring everything out?
I think, again, I had like my training years and years ago, and I took a break. And what happened, there was a great evolution in digital design and the way websites kind of, there's that panel that moves down, I can't remember the name of, and there's all sorts of really weird things that happen. And I sort of, my website, I guess, had become a bit clumsy. And I know in the past you tend to stuff things into your website. Like, oh, I need a categories box here. I need a social media thingy here, and things are floating around. So I got a friend to redesign mine in December last year. And she's just hit the wow factor, I think.
Yeah.
That was it. So I think that was just really, really important. I was starting a collaboration with a New Zealand parenting magazine. So I needed to speak to, like, these are moms that have got businesses, that are, got two kids on the hip, and they're just rocking and they're just really vibrant. So I needed to speak to that, and the whole website just needed a bit of an overhaul. But having said that, that's like the pretty front door, isn't it? That's like the beautiful part of the house, and it looks great. People go, "Oh, that's nice. What's going on in there?" But you've got to have content. Don't you? You've got to still speak to the little Google spiders, or it might have morphed to something else now. I don't know, but that's what we used to talk about. And get those, and get that traffic, and
So like, how, I don't know, what's with your website? Did you pick up SEO more with your website, or is that something that you learned along the way with like the blogging, or like how did you start going about teaching yourself SEO?
It started when I when I did my training with blogging, when I was working, and just keywords and backlinks and inbounds and outbounds and all that sort of stuff. I've played around with a few of the sort of apps that you can use that track that. I kind of find some I like more than others, but I think that's just a personal taste. I think the trouble we find as people who own businesses / who are bloggers who are trying to build your SEO is you've got to find that balance between having a really beautiful website that people love being in or at, because it's full of all this fun information and it's easy to navigate and all the rest of it. And then you've got to keep the Google spiders happy. You've got to get that, got to get those algorithms happening. So I've noticed a really dramatic increase in my website. So I really got serious was May of last year, and I just started blogging. And then with all that content, I had the rehash again, like I mentioned in December. And at the moment, I've got like 1,200 visitors a month. The cat's coming close. Say hello, say goodbye. That's it. So yeah, like 1,200 unique visitors a month.
What?
From nothing, a year ago, which is really good.
Yeah.
But I got this really exciting news, and I've saved it for your website because I didn't. And sometimes I think I could tell people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever." But you understand SEO, your viewers understand SEO, and your audience kind of get it. So the other morning it was quite cold, and I was sort of wrapped up, and I thought, "Oh, I'm writing a new book." Okay, and I'm like 37,000 words into this new book, and I thought, "Have I lost my way?" Because I'm a bit divergent, and I tend to go off on things. So I thought I'll have some fun with ChatGPT. And I write me a title. This is what my book's about. And it came up with some interesting titles, and it really made me think because, they were really as usual, I'm overcomplicating things. That's me. And then I thought, okay, write me a blurb for the back cover. And I thought that should help me succinctly see where this book is going. So the book is about how art therapy and mindfulness can help women.
Okay.
But it's that simple. And what was really, really super exciting is on the 200-word blurb that the AI created, it gave me 4 references. So the first one was Psychology Today, big player in the mental health field. The second one was Very Well Mind, another huge player in the mental health field. And the third one was my website. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, and my website's Mindful Art Therapy. And and the words I was using was mindfulness and arts and, but it's just me. I work from home. I'm not a big company that can pay thousands of dollars a month for bloggers, but it works.
Yeah.
So most of my articles are 1,000 to 3,000 words. I try to post every day. Then sometimes I have a gap because I'll be writing or podcast guesting or something. So it's interesting, isn't it?
It's phenomenal. I'm so happy for you. That's seriously, that is such big news. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I seriously am so excited for you that you've been able to accomplish that, because if chatbots are picking you up, that means that you're doing the right thing and you're on your way.
That's right.
Yeah. They literally run the entire search engine. So if they can see you, then you're doing it.
That's what I thought. I actually went, like I live alone. So that's my really exciting news. And so I think it's really important that, one of the things as an author that really kind of distresses me, and I think you'll agree with me, is that people rely too heavily on social media as their base, and they don't have their own websites.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember. I can't remember. There was a social media website that disappeared overnight.
Okay.
And people had hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in this in their platform, and all their content was there, and something happened, and I don't know, it disappeared. Now I don't know if that would happen again, because I think maybe there are too many safeguards in place. But we've already seen a shift away from Facebook. Facebook used to be the big thing. If you had Facebook, and we talked about YouTube being one of the greatest search engines now. Yeah. Well, Facebook used to be. Right. So I work on my social media as well. So Instagram, I have nearly 1,700 followers. Facebook, I have 40 something.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's one of those things you just got to be there. Right. And I'm quite lazy, so my Instagram posts are automatically generated on my Facebook page. So sorry about that. So it's interesting that we have this shift in markets and what people are doing online. Right. But again, if you don't have something that you own, if you're self-hosting your own website, it's yours, and all the
Right.
content on it is yours. And
Right.
I think,
Like that foundation.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I was interested in your thoughts about that.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, I completely agree with you 110%. Like I know with all my research and everything that I've discovered, especially now, especially since Google's had this like extensive core update,
Mm,
one of the biggest things that Google's going over is a spam policy. And within their spam policy, they're making it so that like, oh man. So everything that everyone's doing now isn't safe anymore. Like for instance, guest posts, funnels, even social media posts are getting more monitored and regulated because so many people have taken advantage and used unethical black hat strategies that Google's now putting in safeguards to make sure that that type of stuff doesn't happen anymore. So I was reading on the new update and everything, and Google was even saying that like even if you have a backlink to let's say somebody that you've known for a long time, and like you have proof that you know this person and there's relationships with them, if for some reason the algorithm doesn't agree with it and still believes that it's the relationship's falsified, then that relationship means nothing and it's void to Google. So that link that you've created is now worthless because the algorithm says so, which has its pros and cons, but it's just I'm all for it, to be completely honest. Like I love it because now we have these safeguards put in, but at the same time, it's just like they are cracking down and getting more and more strict about some of these things. And I was telling you before too that I think that like being like making sure your digital footprint is heavy is like mainly important right now. Like the new big thing. Like yes, backlinks are still important, but like what they're really trying to do is make sure that you have reputation and credibility. So having a website is very important because that, for one, shows Google like, okay, this is the user, this is the business, this is who they are. And then from there, it can like backtrack and say like, okay, these are their social medias. Like from my understanding, having a Wikipedia page is like the new norm. Like that's what, especially if you have a business, like you want to make sure you have a Wikipedia page so that Google can go through that structured data and figure out like, okay, this is a reputable business because Wikipedia is the new in. It's the new yeah, it's, I don't know, it's what Google is now using as like the main resource to fact check people and stuff like that. Also, from my understanding, I don't personally use it that often, but Reddit is very influential now too, because Google and Microsoft are going to be using Reddit for their AI chatbots and to train the AI chatbots. So like, it's important to like use these, it's important to use these social media accounts so that you can be ahead of the trends and be a part of like the new resources and everything and getting your information out there. So I agree with you 110% about having that foundation built and building on it and just having some sort of like digital footprint established so that you can go back and be like, yes, this is me. This is who I am.
And that's really interesting, isn't it? That they're like, you know, we have to prove our reputation.
Yeah.
And you have to build your reputation online. You can't just, and I remember, you know, all those years ago, I remember websites suddenly coming online that had like over 1,000 posts. And you're like, well, you can't physically do that yourself, even if you had 1,000 people.
Right.
You couldn't really employ that many people to put that many posts up, I guess. So, and that's why we had that sandboxing. Remember, where Google would take your website, pop it over here, and just check let's go back every day to make sure you're up to something and you're doing the right thing, and you're on target too. And I noticed with the new update with Google, they were saying that, you know, what they're looking at is the deregistering websites or you know, not acknowledging those websites that cover too many topics.
Yes.
So that's really interesting, isn't it?
I just feel like everything that's kind of become the new norm is getting outed and no longer being accepted anymore. Like, especially if Google finds it as like being false information or being misleading, like that's off the table.
Yeah.
It's completely gone. So like,
Yeah.
it's just important to implement like safe practices and strategies to ensure that like you have legitimate information on your website. And like, even if you like, let's say, I don't know, let's say that I want to do a blog article and I want to link in, I don't know, like you, for instance, like we're working together and I just want to give you some recognition. Like, I have to be careful about that now. And I have to like make sure that I use the structured data to implement, like, so the search engine can actually read the information, because I don't think people understand and know that either, that like, yes, it's the keywords, but like, the keywords are considered structured data. So like, structured data is actually JSON, like JSON. So like, it gets pretty technical and more expensive there, but just to give a brief idea of what I'm talking about, like, yeah, it's just fascinating to me how much things are changing and how rapidly they are.
Yeah,
So.
it's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah, but it's really good for people, because I mean, in a sense where you can build your reputation, you can provide quality information. You know, like, so my topic is mindful arts therapies. Arts covers all the arts, from painting to sculpting to music to poetry. But you know, and then there's mental health, and then there's all sorts of what, and there's community involvement with the arts programs and things like that. So I think I'm up to about, I haven't quite finished scheduling, but by the end of May, come June, there'll be 298 posts on my website. I should crack up to 300.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's not hard to I guess, to offer a diverse range of subtopics within one topic. I think that's what I'm trying to say. You know, so my umbrella is quite niche too, which I think is obviously a help. But I can go, okay, well, we can talk about mindful arts therapy. We can talk about, what did I look up last week? I wrote a 3,000 word article on I couldn't pronounce it properly. Solfeggio frequencies.
Yeah.
which affect your chakras. And you can just, if you've got Spotify or YouTube, you can just actually play them and just have them playing in the background, and they will actually readjust.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and I have them playing when I'm writing, and I suddenly find that I'm writing and my head's 50% clearer, and I'm really, really, really well focused. It's really, really interesting how it can affect your equilibrium and your work and things like that. But yeah, I think for people who've got a website, and it could be about anything, that they don't, they really need, I mean, maybe that's a job for somebody, that you could go into a website and go, oh, you could talk about these topics as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you could branch, So again, just trying to keep within all that.
Yeah.
All those rules, I guess, that keep us in honest, don't they? And there's got to be that level of integrity, I think, too. Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to admit, like, I even was discussing with you about this a little bit, like, especially since I've learned about like the Blackhat way and stuff, like, it's so tempting sometimes, just because like it's the easy way out.
Right.
So like, I mean, I'm guilty of this. I feel like a lot of people could agree with this and relate to this, but like, it's just, sometimes they don't have enough time, or like sometimes it's just a lot easier to just go about it like the faster way or the unethical way, just because like it is easier, it's quicker, and like it gets you to rank higher so much easier. So it does seem so much better, and like, but in the long term, like, it's, I don't know, Google will come up and catch you and bite you in the butt.
That's probably right.
I learned, like,
so much pressure to get that ranking, isn't there? And it's like a carrot that's been dangled just out of reach all the time. Yeah, it's really hard, really, really hard. Particularly if you're in a very competitive space, I think,
Yeah.
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 So I can understand people wanting to, have a dabble and see what it works. Like, like me with ChatGPT, I was like, oh, I couldn't think, what am I going to call this book? I can't think of anything. Oh, let's have some fun. And
Right. Right. Like, especially, it's confusing too, because like Google does sit there and say that like it doesn't like to use generated, like AI generated content and stuff like that. Like it's completely against it. But then yet it's implementing all this new AI generated products and services. Like it's I hate to say it, it's a little hypocritical, but like at the same time, I understand why they're doing it. I do.
And I look like, and for me, the references, like I actually had a conversation once with ChatGPT, and I was like, how does this work? And it's like, oh, this is what we do. And I was like, how many times can I do this? Oh, you can do it up to so many times.
Yeah.
And I said, can I use this content on my website? And it said, yes, if you use the references.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that makes sense, because that's what I would do anyway.
Right.
I don't know anything about solfeggio frequencies. I just saw the word and thought, what does that mean? And I Googled it. Yeah. But it's like having a toy, or whatever your choice of drink is, whether it's beer or bourbon or wine, and somebody's saying, oh, you can't drink it. You can't drink it.
Yeah.
And I belong to a lot of writers group on Facebook, and they're like, oh, AI, that's just like the worst thing in the world, and it's ruining book sales. And having played with it, and it's not that great. You can't write a book with AI, because it just begins to repeat, and it's quite repetitive, and there's no flow to it, and it can get a bit clunky.
Yeah.
So I think AI has a long way to go in that respect. But also, I think it's interesting that people are so dead against it, because, like you say, even now on Facebook, I don't know when it's only just happened here in Australia, is your search button's now been replaced by a little Meta AI.
Yeah. They just, as far as I know, just within the last few months, they've added that feature, and like everyone's doing it. Everyone is. It's the new, and like
what can Meta AI help you with? And I'm like, I'm just trying to find my cousin. My cousin in a few months. I want to see if she's. I've got relatives all over the world. I want to see if my cousin's okay. Go away.
Yeah.
I should have said, how's my cousin, and put the name in, and they were like, oh, she's been having all this tests done. But like you say, it's a double-edged sword. They want us. They've given us all this information. We're under an extraordinary lot of pressure to get our ranking, to get our websites up and noticed.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, they're going, no, you can't use that. No.
Right.
So I tend to if I do go, like, for the book title and for the back blurb, I'll just do a complete rewrite. And it was just an idea. It's a wonderful way of generating ideas. Because all of us, I don't have anyone to bounce ideas off, and there's no community around me that really understands what I do. So I'm just going to talk to a robot about it.
That makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. I do want to add to that, when it comes to keyword research and stuff, I do notice that a lot of people do get a little bit confused with the idea of it. And I just kind of want to put it out there that especially when you're a new business or a new website, it's more important to try finding keywords that are low ranking and don't have as much volume to them, because you're more likely to rank higher because not so many people are utilizing them. So you have a better chance of actually getting seen and heard because no one's touching on it. And your best bet is to try to find information that nobody else is really people are searching for, but nobody's really not even questioning, but nobody's really talking about. So I don't know. I guess the best way to put it is if somebody is looking for the answer to I don't know, why the sky is blue, and everybody's answering that, but they're not saying where I guess where these thoughts originally came from. You know what I mean? Or giving specifics of the formula of why the sky is blue or something like that. Leaving out that factual evidence. Like that's what you want to look for. That's like the kind of content that you want to try to generate on your website or your blogs, because like I said, not many people are touching on it. So like you have a better chance of ranking because no one's touching on it. So
and it's about language, like with the gender identity movement, and where people are wanting to be called their and them rather than he or she, or he wants to be she and she wants to be them, it gets confusing. I mean, 70-80% of the language we learn before we get to school. So all that grammar, all that stuff that's in our heads, having to change that can really trip us up. And so I think with keyword search, it's like different cultures and different segments of society will use slightly maybe different words.
Yeah.
I wrote a children's book about a little snake, and I used the word paddock, which is like a field. And I remember an American reviewer going, "Oh, I had to look that up. I didn't know what that word. I've never heard of that word before." And I was like, "Really?" So you can, I think you can really target your audience with your keywords if you're a little bit sassy about languages, the words and things like that. I'm like, I mean, and like you say, if you're a little bit inventive, you can really target maybe a smaller but a richer, if you like, and more concentrated. It's interesting.
No, it definitely is. Like I don't know, I think like some of the, are there like any tools that you use, like other than ChatGPT, are there any other tools that you can think of that you utilize that help you do SEO or do keyword research or anything like that?
I just mainly Google Words, and I have I can't remember. I've swapped so many times the apps I've used on my website. I've got one at the moment I don't like because I don't. It's too complex for me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really. I don't build websites. I just maintain mine, and I want to be able to do my work to a degree. You know what I mean? So, and I love writing, so the blog postings works well for me. I just find that I think there's that level of succinctness. You just got to get to the point in that first paragraph. And this is what it's about. And of course, like, you're also linking. For me, it's about the business name, which is Mindful Arts Therapy. So just linking that in, somehow weaving that into that first paragraph. And I think mindful and mindfulness are interchangeable. Art and arts are interchangeable, and therapy is therapy. So I think I'm lucky insofar as it's quite narrow in some regards to that. So which is really, really interesting.
You are pretty lucky, because like the topic that you have, it is, I mean, like I've heard about it, but like I don't know many people that are actually touching on it. So like you're lucky in that aspect. Like, and I think it's so cool that you're going through and trying to make people more aware of your technique and style and like your genre. So like congratulations for that. Like for me, like everyone's looking at web development, so it's like it's kind of hard to try finding things that like someone hasn't touched on, you know what I mean? So like you're very fortunate in that aspect to be able to like have your own brand and make it stand out. And
you don't get customers straight away, do you? Do you know what I mean? Like I've had I'm starting to get customers now, and I'm going to be working with a community group next month. But in the meantime, I was writing blog posts. And learning about SEO again, and all that sort of stuff. So I think people don't also understand, particularly small business owners, that having a website's not, you need more than that. So that's what I'm trying to say. So gone are the days where you opened a website and people were like, "Oh, let's go and have a look," because I can't remember how many thousands of websites are started a week or a month or a day or even in an hour. It's mind-boggling amount, isn't it? You've got to, when you're in your downtime, you got to create that SEO. You've got to make people want to go to your website. And hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of work. but it pays. Look at me, I come third in the ranking.
Yeah. Like that's so great. You said what, 12,000 views in a month? Like
Yeah.
that's phenomenal. That is so good.
And it's just, and look, and I'm like, I say, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I understand the principles, but
Right.
I don't really understand the nitty gritty stuff. But it's just that plugging away and just yeah.
That's great. Let me think. I don't know. Is there anything else that you can think of that you think that's important for our listeners to know?
I think it's getting people from social media to your website is I think people are, I know I've read the opposite to this statement I'm about to make, and I read it all the time, but I think people are over lead magnets and signing up for emails.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sick to death of them. I tried them, and I really, for 6 months, I pushed a free ebook about preteen mental health that I'd written.
Yeah.
Spent hours designing it. Got 6 people signed up. I think one of them might have been one of my personal email as well. I tested. I've signed up to buy things on a website, and they said, "Oh, give us your email address, and we'll give you 10% off." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do that."
Yeah.
Then I'll often unsubscribe.
Right.
So I think, I don't know what your thoughts are about lead magnets and emails. I still see it being advertised as a thing. I did a course that cost me $2,000 Australian dollars, which is in dollars US. No, it's about 3.5. But anyway, and it was all about generating from social media, lead magnets and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely useless. Absolutely useless. Never sold a book, sold a thing. Didn't increase my visitors, anything. Yeah. But I don't, what are your thoughts? Maybe I'm wrong.
No. In all honesty, like I hate to admit it, but I do agree with you. Because I know for me personally, when I get to a website that has it, I use a temporary email now. There are some times like when people have it set up, so that you have to put in your email to make the purchase or like to do the download. Sometimes I will use it, but like 9 times out of 10, like it's just a pesky, bothersome step that I just don't feel like you usually get the email when they make the purchase, you know what I mean? So like, or you get the email like when they, I don't know, maybe not even necessarily when they download something, the freebie or whatever, but either way, like there's easier ways to get their email without having to go through that process anymore. So it's just, I don't know. I just personally don't. I agree with you.
I've removed all the sign-up boxes from my website.
Yeah.
And basically, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I have to offer. Yeah. If you're interested, call me. Send an email. I don't really care. I don't want an email because I can't be bothered sending emails.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a way anymore to build your tribe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather think you've really got to focus on your social media and where your tribe are. So, Facebook's full of old grannies like me. It used to be good. I used to find out what my kids were doing, and look, they've been to the beach. Mm-hmm. So I tend to hang out more on Instagram. I find that's where my tribe is.
Yeah.
I'm not really. I love creating videos with slides and images. I don't like doing like having my face. I don't want to be talking. Yeah. So I've sort of avoided TikTok. I've also seen. I've seen a lot of art therapists on TikTok, and they produce this amazing artwork, right? Which is really nice to watch, but it's got nothing. Art therapy is not about producing beautiful pieces of art. Yeah. It's about making a mess on a piece of paper, releasing those pent-up emotions, or exploring how you're feeling, and then you can just chuck it away. Yeah. I think it's sometimes we can, we've got to really be authentic again to what we're doing, never mind about our audience. And, and I started a little bit doing YouTube videos, and I've got little problems with my internet. So I kind of stopped because it was stopping and starting and it was all jumpy.
Yeah.
So that's something I've got to sort out. But yeah, I think that's my personal thing.
Yeah.
Is sending people from your social media platform of choice to your website,
Yeah.
and then not doing a big sell, but providing them with quality information.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree.
Very fiction.
No, I completely agree with that. Like I know like a lot of the times that I get a lot of the clients that I get is because like I offer them freebies. It's not because like I'm sitting there like trying to push my big offer, like you said. It's because like I'm volunteering to actively help. Like they post a problem and I'm offering a solution for free. And then they're enticed and they're like, oh, well, this person genuinely cares. Like they know what they're talking about. Like I feel comfortable with them because I'm building that relationship. And then from there, like we move forward. But I agree too. Like you need to find at least one social media platform that you feel most comfortable on and build from that. Like you don't have to be on all of them. I mean, it helps, but like at least you have your foot in the door with one, like that builds. So
yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I belong to a group which is a lady who in the UK who she's a social media manager, and she does these little fabulous 20-minute videos. And because of my background, I'm like, oh, but what about this? What about this? And she'll say, today's video is brought to you from Susan, who asked me all these really strange questions. But yeah, she does it for free every week. And because the daylight savings times have changed here, I can actually hook in and watch it live now. It's quite late at night, but it's okay. But yeah, and she actually said last week that she's only got 2 vacancies left, so she's booking out.
Oh wow!
But, and I don't know. I know her and I have been connected for must be nearly a year, because she was one of the first people I sort of got connected with via Instagram, and then we moved to Facebook where she hosts her live videos. But yeah, I thought, well, good on you. That I thought that she's done such a terrific job. She's friendly, she's funny, and she reads the comments as she's going. Do you know what I mean? So she interacts with the live video. So yeah, like you say, she builds it. We know her. She talks about being authentic, and she's as of a week ago, she only had two openings left to take new clients.
That's great.
It works.
Yeah.